Hey, gang, and welcome to Ryan Chataway's 24-hour movie marathon. No, it's not, motherfuckers. It's the grumpy old gentleman's 24-hour movie marathon that's not going to be 24 hours. And well, actually, it's a little over 24 hours because it's going to be done in 6 videos. And the runtime of the movies equals just a little over 24 hours. So in that case, it is a 24-hour movie marathon. That's not watched 24 hours consecutively, and it's really not a marathon at all, but I just wanted to give a big fuck you to Ryan Chataway and his marathon. So, there. What I did is I'm posting this on my channel as well as the Grumpy Old Gentleman's channel, just so you know to go over there and support my second channel with my 5 other friends from the movie community. The ones that will do this. I don't know if all of them will do this. I know Ian is, but that's the only one I can guarantee. I'm really hopeful that Jay does. I'm not sure Bob knows what to do. Harry's a contender probably. And Mike, you have nothing fucking else to do, so there you go. And Bob, feel free to play along if you do figure it out. Not only is he old as fuck, he's also Canadian, so I don't know. All right, so what's going to happen is I asked every one of them. No, I asked all of the other members of the group to pick a movie for me to watch. Plus, I watched their favorite movie of all time, and I will talk about both in each video. I started with Mike because at the time when everybody gave me their movies, the one total piece of shit that he gave me to watch was actually on YouTube to watch, all 80 fucking terrible minutes of it. And so I watched it then, and that night I was just in the mood and watched Night of the Hunter, which is his favorite movie of all time. So, Mike, you're up first. Mike actually, I wanted to own all of these movies that I was doing instead of trying to find them online or costing me any money to do this. And Mike actually found a copy of his movie and sent it to me. And yes, Mike, I did watch it a second time just because you took the time and care to send this 41st anniversary edition piece of fucking dog shit to me. I gotta say, though, it's probably not the worst I've ever seen. The incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies in Terrorama, which I will try to get the light off of that. There we go. Okay, first and foremost, just getting the DVD. The front doesn't distract me at all because there is a lot of cool elements to the art on this. Okay, the title part of the top of it, of course, it's goofy as fuck as a title, but you know it's the '60s and it's the time of really dumbass beach movies and some really cool monster stuff. So that can't throw you off because you don't know what you're getting into. Now, you flip it over and there's 3 red flags right from the beginning. I'm going to read them as I go. Right off the bat, you see in bold letters, see the first monster musical. Right there. In plain letters. Also, if you ever thought of anything being a red flag, it has the words guilty pleasure on it. That means somebody, can't say much because I like the Garbage Pail Kids movie, but you know, whatever. And if you ever see this stamp of approval, you know you're probably getting into some shit. And by shit, sometimes I mean good shit. But If you see that man's face right there, you know you're in for a treat. But it could also be a fucking terrible treat. Like if somebody gave you Brussels sprouts instead of cake. That's what we got here. All right. Now, the movie's really simple. It is a musical. Um, not to the fullest potential of a musical, or not potential really, not to what you would fully call a musical at all, but enough to fucking be terrible. So I wrote down a bunch of notes. First off, it's about this guy that falls in love with this girl. His sister's a gypsy. She tells him his future. He laughs at it, becomes a zombie, and then does a fucking goes on a killing spree. So that's the movie in general, okay? Everything in this movie looks like shit. The movie itself is actually, the second time I watched it, it was actually kind of fun to watch. It was, I'd already seen it, and it was already like, it's kind of like, you go to the doctor to have a procedure done, and then you got to go back for the checkup or get the stitches removed. It probably hurts, but it's not going to be as bad as when you got your fucking arm cut open. And that's what this is. The second time wasn't as bad as the first. So, rather than talk about the movie a lot, I wrote down a bunch of notes because I don't want to just sit here for 10 minutes and say it's a piece of shit, because I think I've established that. IMDb give it a 2.2 out of 10. How in the fuck their algorithm came up with 2.2, I don't know. But I forgot to look at how many reviews there were. Probably 2.2. Ray Dennis Steckler, Brett O'Hare, and I actually wrote, who gives a fuck? I'm not even going to talk about the rest of the cast. The director, Ray Dennis Steckler, Steckler? Yeah. Also directed two other films that actually sound pretty good, and I may try to watch these. Lemon Grove Kids Meet the Monsters and Rat Fink a Boo Boo. Fink spelled with a P-F-I-N-K. I read about both of them. They sound interesting. I know they're going to be shit, but they do sound like good watches. Lemon Grove Kids Meet the Monsters got a 4.8 on IMDb. Over twice what this piece of shit got. And Rat Fink a Boo Boo, about a superhero group like Batman and Robin, got a 4.3. So, once again, almost double. So, I expect great things from these two. So, yeah. It was originally supposed to be called The Incredibly Strange Creatures, or Why I Stopped Living and Became a Mixed Up Zombie. Okay. Interesting fact, during the dancing numbers, the director gave the people gum so that they could concentrate more. This is his highest budget film, which kind of speaks for the other two. Like, what am I getting into if I watch these? At $38,000. So, that's some expensive fucking gum there. Musical numbers were all done in one day. That's because they were scared that nobody would show back up for fucking gum. Or $3, whatever they were giving them. At the end, a dummy was used for Jerry's fall. It was so obvious that they didn't even use the footage. Really? That's what you didn't use? That's the fucking footage you didn't use, was a dummy falling off a fucking cliff. Obviously, the director, also Jerry, didn't watch a dailies. I'm pretty sure that dummy looked fine. I'm really pretty sure he could have been made out of Play-Doh and looked fine falling off that fucking cliff. And like I said, this is 80 minutes and 1964. The second film, and I will be using notes for these because I want to, and no fucks are given. The second film I watched was actually an amazing film, one of my personal favorites too, and Mike's favorite, 1955, spine number 541 on the Criterion Collection. If you do that kind of thing, like most of us do, I'm not sure if, again, if Bob knows what a Criterion is, or if they sell them in Canada or Canada, however you want to pronounce it. And that is Robert Mitchum, Shelley Winters in Night of the Hunter, which, yes, Mike, I'm sorry, I only have on DVD. But it's Criterion, so it's a very good transfer. 93 minutes long. It is a film noir film, and there's a genre that I had trouble getting into, and I'm finding more and more that do suit my taste, and never really thought of them being that genre. It's from Oscar-winning director Charles Langton, who didn't win his Oscar for directing. He only directed a few films. Two, I think. Maybe. Yeah, two. His was for acting. I read an interesting thing about Robert Mitchum when he really, really wanted this role, and when he went in to audition for it, the director, Mr. Langton, asked him to describe the character that he was playing, and he called him a despicable shit. I could really have hung out with this dude. This guy's an asshole, and he is a funny asshole. In everything I've ever read about him, he's just one of those, how in the fuck did you get an acting gig, man? I mean, you're talented and all, but you're fucking, he's great, man. He's really great. Based on, or taken from the story of the serial killer Harry Powers from the 30s, basically taken almost exactly from the story of Powers, except a different time period, even though I can't remember if they say the time period in this movie. But yeah, it took place in the 30s, the original story. Basically, this guy, this miserable prick or despicable shit, is a self-proclaimed Bible-beaten, religious fanatic who isn't really that. He's like the wolf in sheep's clothing kind of guy. And he's in jail with this guy that robbed a bank and killed a guy, and he's sentenced to die, and he finds out some info, and he goes to find the family. Now, when he finds the family, the father had been on the run real quick, and he stopped by the house and hid the $10,000 that he robbed from, now that I'm saying bank, might have been a store. Fuck, I'm bad at this. God damn, I've seen this movie probably 20 times. Anyway, there was $10,000 involved. He hid it, told the kids not to ever tell nobody. This prick comes along, acting like he's, the man. Pulls the wool over everybody's eyes, like most religious fanatics in this state, not Ohio, but in his ways do, the whole cult type thing, coming in and getting everybody to believe what you say, and does some despicable deeds. And it's dark, it's dreary, it's miserable. He is so fucking terrible. He's a piece of shit. And at the same time, you just enjoy this performance always. And Robert Mitchum is a guy that I really, really enjoy. This and Cape Fear are probably two big name movies that a lot of people know, but they're also some of the best, despicable character movies. A lot of people will argue that De Niro's Cape Fear is superior, but there's no fucking way. If you haven't seen Mitchum in Cape Fear, you don't know what you're missing. But yeah, that's film noir. Robert Mitchum in Night of the Hunter, and Who Gives a Fuck in The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies, or Why I Stopped Living and Became a Mixed Up Zombie. Mike, I love your taste in movies. I always have. You're top notch when it comes to films. You come from an era that you would have seen a lot of great things in the cinema. Mike's birth year, 1951, which we just did videos on as well, on each other's birth years. But sometimes I question you. I really do. With your beach movies, now I'm not going to take anything away from Annette Funicello, if you know what I mean, but come on now. The A and the E are starting to bend around the sides, and if you don't know what that's from, fuck off. So there we go. Two films down. Next I will probably do... I'm kind of looking forward to Bob's picks. Bob picked two really good ones, and we're going to hit the superhero genre at this next stop. So, thanks for watching. This has not been Ryan Chataway's stupid fucking 24-hour marathon. And I didn't need Luke to write this shit. Later.